posted up later today on warchant.com. I think all the questions, I think the ending is in. That's it. You can't ask any more questions. Is that right, Tom?
That is correct. It is in the Renegade room of warchant.com on the forums. So for those of the subscribers who are Warchant Goldies, you do the plus thing, the ad-free tier, and that is where the questions were asked. There's a couple of good ones, too. Some people want some behind-the-scenes stories, so we'll see what you say to all that.
I like that as much as I can get into that. I have to always be careful with those because some of the folks that they ask about are either like currently on the staff or they're, the football staff, or there's, something that I probably in good conscience couldn't share. You know what I mean? That was entrusted or something along those lines, perhaps. Well, what do we think? Our Super Bowl is set. I'll get to that in a minute here. Feels like it feels like a fun matchup, but I have to. There's a lot to pick apart from the games yesterday, and I know you and I will. I want to go through with you the Dan Campbell logic, and you and I'll have a little discussion about this. I'm curious. First, though, unfortunately, all I can do is this. That's all I can do. Close, Tom. They were pretty close. And, unfortunately, we don't get anything for the moral victories. And Florida State had a couple of them actually this year against North Carolina. We've lost, what did we lose, by 7 over the weekend and 8 in the previous matchup there. So opportunities were there in both matchups to beat North Carolina. All the other ACC teams have lost by double digits when they have faced North Carolina. So we've played them better than anybody, but you got to get one of those. And we really couldn't. And it's frustrating when you don't score over the last 2.5 minutes and you have opportunities with the ball in your hand to tie the game up or to take the lead, and it just doesn't happen. And in the end, they played well, not well enough, and they fall. And I said on Friday before we went to break and left here for the weekend, I thought that was a make-or-break game for Florida State as it pertains to the NCAA tournament. Now I think they're pretty much, at this point, just fighting for the NIT, which is unfortunate because I think if they had gotten off to a little bit better start this year, maybe we wouldn't be talking in those terms.
Yeah, I think that's all true, and obviously the two-time exemption or multiple-time transfers thing for Primo Spears helped Florida State get to a position where they are, but it's just not only about Primo Spears that they had the slow beginning to the season. There was a whole lot more going on there, and they've flipped a switch since then. The thing I laughed about was that we said if they were going to win this basketball game, it would have to look a lot different than the first time. And not only did it not in the first half from beyond the arc, they got better from 3. They were 7 of 12 this time instead of 7 of 14 like they were in Chapel Hill. And I was thinking, you got to be kidding me. They're going to try and do this thing again. And then when they got it down to 1 possession late, it just felt like you're going to have to take the lead now. Like take the lead, not just tie the ball game up. It didn't happen for them. It's tough. But they're a good basketball team. They've gone from whoa, could this be, the end of the road for Coach Ham, to where in March we're doing like salutes as you're leaving buildings because they all know time's up, to a team that battles their ass off. They find different ways to win. They play for each other. They're deep. They look a lot like the underdog-ish programs that Coach Ham had in the beginning of this 2.0 run. They're fun to watch, and it was a good game, and it was a good atmosphere. Good job to everybody who showed up.
One problem is that there's a continuation from game to game, even amidst the improvements for Florida State, and that is the free throw percentage it's just awful. And you go 5 of 11 in this game, and you miss those key. I think it was 3 1-and-1s in the second half that were huge, and you don't make them, and it's devastating. And you contrast that with the fact that North Carolina hit 19 of 24 free throws. And here we are, we made 5 free throws. There's your game. I mean, there's your game. You can just stop there. Look at the margin and realize what happened.
This is where, again, it played out a lot like the first time around. I didn't think that they could be in a game where they're relying on the 3. They did in the first half, and they thrived, and that's how they asserted themselves, and that's how they got to the breakup as much as they were. And I thought they couldn't be in a game if there was a free throw disparity like there was in Chapel Hill. Now, this one wasn't as stark. That was 31-8, I do believe.
This one was 24-11.
But, I mean, you're right. When 5 makes, there's 5 makes, and front ends matter so very much in this.
It's huge. It's huge. It's really disappointing. It was close, guys. It was close, and I'm not mad at them. They played pretty well. I think they kind of are who they are. I mean, they haven't really shot free throws well this year. By the way, the second half revealed a little bit of who they were too, Tom. You were right. They roasted the Nets in the first half, 2 of 8 in the second half from 3. So that they kind of, you're going to revert to form. You're going to go back to what the back of the baseball card says at some point. And that ended up happening. And so that's where we're at. The thing is, though, not making free throws is frustrating. When there is a free throw disparity, you can look at it oftentimes many different ways. Is this a classic, ACC officials just being incompetent, favoring the blue bloods, or is it the way you're playing or the way they're playing? Lots of ways to look at these things. I think we just get in trouble on our switches all the time, and we're asking guys, because we switch on everything, to try to play defense that way. You put yourself in a vulnerable position, especially when some of the bigger guys who are slower footed have to switch and they get exploited. Carolina did a good job of attacking that whenever we switched. And, that's the way they play. I get it. That's the way. Sometimes you reap the rewards of that. Other times it gets exploited and you see it in that situation.
Yeah, I agree. It is. The thing I would say about this game versus the last one is when all of those things happened, and in the first half of the last game, it looked similar in that we were getting beaten in the glass. Rebound margin was one thing, points in the paint was another thing, fast break. It was like the threes were the only thing that was keeping us together. And then, you got boat race from about the 11-minute mark to the 6-minute mark last time that you played them. This time, it's a similar pattern, but we found a way to fight and have the opportunity down the stretch at 72 or 70-68, whatever it is.
70-68, yeah.
To take the lead. The other time it became a laugher because it was an all-time kind of run. This time you showed improvement where, the outlier puts you in position, but somehow, some way, you get down to the last couple of minutes and you could actually win this thing. So there's been improvement, but to your point, because of the setbacks you suffered in the non-conference slate, improvement is nice, but you need to go to this other place. And so now they would have to go on another long ACC run to be back in a similar position that they were in this weekend, which is you'd have to win 5 out of 6 or 6 out of 7.
Something
and then
like that, yeah.
Maybe we could return to the chugga choo-choo conversation. But for right now, it's a ding-ding. That's what it is.
That's what it is. To your point, final point on this, I won't belabor the point. We know what happened. But North Carolina responded with a very similar run to the way they did last time. It was a 28-10 run, Tom. And we're getting housed, and it's a 10-point game. And there are 8 minutes to play, and you're thinking, this is it's over. And if we're lucky, we won't get blown out. Well, we fought back, and that run that we had made me proud. When they fought back, and after giving up that 28-10 run and got back in it to within 3 and had the ball, you're like, okay. Look at the chutzpah on these kids. There you go. A little what for to these guys, unlike the last time. That's what I'm talking about. So I was proud of that. Moral victory. Got it. All right, on to the football. And this has been fun to watch for me over the years, the evolution of analytics and wrapping your mind around percentages and understanding fourth down math and the coaches that are aggressive, very aggressive, those that are extremely conservative. All throughout the course of the season, we have the larger conversation. What kind of coach do you want? What's the mindset? Where's your head at with all of this? We have so much information to latch on to now, and we have access to this information about, for example, something as simple as a 2-point play, Tom, right? We now know that's 55%. So a lot of guys feel like you should go for 2 more often than not, and the odds are in your favor, right? So you'll see that. You'll hear that. People will reference it. And then we get into debates because one of the things that's not baked in to the analytics is oftentimes things like weather, things like what's at stake. Is it a regular season game? Is this week 4? Or is this, the NFC Championship game with the right to go to the Super Bowl? What does the decision create psychologically, both good and bad? If we get it, if we don't. Like, that's not baked into the math. That's not part of the formula. Like, a coach has to know that. A coach has to read his team. A coach has to feel that. That's part of the game. And of course, what it ends up doing, Tom, is eliciting a larger debate, which has been had online forever. And these debates usually center around something like momentum. Does it exist? If you are uber aggressive and you lean more towards going and eschewing field goals and extra points, or going on fourth down from your own 40, if that's who you are, if that's your makeup, if that's the way you play, the good and the bad of that, right? We talk about those. There's good that comes out of that too, of course. And there's real bad there too. And I thought we got it all on display in that 49ers game against Detroit, because I think you can't be one thing if you're not going to be that thing. And he decided not to be that thing, and it was a little inconsistent. I think old Dan got a little tilty here. So you kick the field goal before half, and you say, I'm going to do that because I want to go up 3 scores. Fair enough. I'm not going to argue with the logic. If you say that's what you want to do, you want to go up 24-7, make it a 3-score game before half. Okay, now you can make an argument that you should have gone for it there, because there's a lot of reasons, and I'll get back to this, but fine, you kick it. I'm not going to argue again with the nothing to do with the analytics here. His logic was want to go up 3 scores. Okay, fine. Would have been fine with you going for it as well. But now in the third quarter, you have a chance to once again make it a 3-score game, a 17-point game. It's even later in the contest, and you eschew the field goal. Now, I waited to hear what he would say there in the postgame, and he said, we wanted to regain the upper hand. What are you talking about? You're up 14. You'd have gone back up by 17. You had the upper hand. And not only did you have the upper hand, you had the upper hand later in the game than it was the first time around. It's 6 minutes later in the game? If you're going to be aggressive, you can make a very good argument you should have gone for it in the spot where you kicked the field goal, because 28-7, Tom, is that's a wrap. Probably. Also, they were 2 yards closer. So you could have made the argument you go for it in the first half and you kick the field goal here. But you don't kick the field goal in the first half and then say, no, we're not going to do that. We want to regain the upper hand. You had the upper hand. Kick the field goal. It was strange. I'm okay most of the time with being very aggressive and certainly understanding the numbers, understanding what those numbers mean. You do have to apply to the fact that, what's the emotion of your team in this instance? Are they shook? Do they look like they're reeling? Does the other team feel like they've been infused by a greater confidence than they had earlier in the game? If you don't like saying the word momentum and you don't believe it exists, then fine. Call it what it is. The other team has begun to execute better. They've adjusted to your game plan, and they've now had some success, and you're a little worried about the direction of the game because that's not baked in the formula. Nobody talks about that, but that's an observant thing, right? You're a coach or a player. You see it. You know it's happening, whether the scoreboard tells that number or reveals that number or not. And I thought he was inconsistent, to say the least.
This is the thing that frustrates me is I appreciate analytics because I believe, like anything else, they're a tool to help you make a decision.
Absolutely.
But you're a human being making a decision, and there are human beings out on the field, and you've got to know how they feel. And I cannot stand the idea that momentum does not exist. That's not true. Look at all the camera shots of Lions players on the sidelines when they have a 1-score lead and a 2-score lead, but San Francisco has the ball and they're driving, and tell me that they're not affected by something intangible in the air. It's not what the percentages say for San Francisco on 3rd and 6 that's affecting them on the sideline. It is this feeling that something is slipping away. You could put a diving board on the edge of a pool. I know that nobody can do that now for insurance purposes, but we had those as kids. And if it was right in the deep end of the pool at the normal height, that's one thing. Now put it 35 feet in the air. You don't think you're going to feel a little bit different? It's the same thing. You're walking to the end of the diving board and you're jumping and you're going into the water. It's the same thing. If it's deep enough, it's deep enough. You can do it. But what changes? Something inside of us, especially if we've got a problem with heights. You don't like that feeling very much. That's the hard part to me, where we always talk about, analytics and we put them up on the screen saying you should always do this, or you should always do that. Man, psychology matters. I know that's not tangible, but it matters. And going up 3 scores in the third quarter of that game yesterday would have kept that building very, very quiet. Even if they had the face mask thing and that catch and they score the touchdown and they're down 10, that moves them from down 17 to down 10 in that moment. The fans are into it, but it's not coming apart at the seams like it was yesterday. So that's the thing. It's just, I can't stand the analytics discussion when this is a game played by humans. You know, if analytics were the only way to operate, then we should all play poker on Poker Stars and not go play it in the casinos, because it doesn't matter. It's just, it always go by what the numbers say. It drives me nuts. I know that there were drops and you could catch the ball. You're allowed to catch the ball.
Allowed to catch the ball, and it cost them the game. That's certainly, you can point that out, and you should point that out without question. I'm just noting there's an inconsistency in term from Dan's standpoint.
Yes.
With that particular decision. I would also just point out that the 49ers defense stinks. And can we just say this now? I don't care how much money they've spent on that defense. It sucks. It's not any good. And this continues to go in the wrong direction for them. They're bad. And you know who else is bad, by the way? If when you watch, you think about why it is that people can just kind of line up and decide to run over and over again on them. Chase Young is a weak spot. They should have never added that guy. He's a bum. Wilkes is not great, and that is a situation that could come back now, obviously, at the end of the day and haunt them. I marveled how many times. Go look at the Gibbs touchdown and watch Chase Young's effort. Holy moly. There's no way. I mean, I get, you bring a guy in and you pay him a lot of money, you can't exactly yank him off the field, but you can. You can. You're allowed. There's no law against it. There's no chance he's back on the field after watching that. Go watch that play again. Holy moly. My man stinks. And they're the 25th ranked third down defense. They don't get off the field. They don't really get after the passer all that well. And that was what was supposed to be the difference maker. Their offense moves the ball. They can move the ball. They can score with people. They don't get stops. And that really is kind of a strange thing to watch. That I thought, when you watch the postseason with them, that's getting worse. Offense is fine. They've got weapons galore. Purdy's good enough. They've got weapons galore. That defense is the problem for them going into this game.
Well, that's the other thing. You already made the decision to kick to go up 17. You do it again, and they know how bad their defense is. Like, you know that the confidence that you would have.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And they could score. They're down 10. You're going to score again. You're either going to push it to 13 or push it to 17. It's just, it's the same argument that happened last week for the Bucs when they score and then they inexplicably throw a fade. Okay, fine. If you can still win the game with one possession to go by kicking the extra point, like, you can win it outright. I forget what it's, Ford Field. It's not the Silverdome anymore. I'm aging myself. But that building feels different. The Lions sideline feels different. If they could lose the game, if they fail on the next drive, versus worst case, they still got to go for 2. And even if they get that, we're going to overtime. There's a psychological impact of these decisions you're making. And I think, I know if the Lions make that kick to go up 17, that building is completely different. And their own sideline feels completely different. The Dan Campbell shots themselves in a 10-point game or a 7-point game, he looks like he's ready to vomit in that moment. So
this happens when you go on a run and it's your first. You know, this is the first time they've been in that situation, and you can see sometimes these moments get a little big. I think it's less forgivable. It's more forgivable for Detroit than it is for Baltimore. Baltimore absolutely just peed their pants. Like, they looked completely flustered from Jump Street. You have the one response to the Chiefs touchdown, and that's it the rest of the day. Now, I'll grant you, I have the unfortunate Zay Flowers fumble going in the end zone, but man, it is to watch that drive chart, to play out, to see it. I know what it is, and I'll quote it in a minute. We'll come back and get to that game. But to see the way that happened, Harbaugh's got to look at himself today, because you're allowed to override your offensive coordinator when he calls 2 total runs after the first quarter. You can say, my man, what are we doing here? This is a nightmare. We have completely gone away from what we do. And Lamar didn't play well again. And, that's going to haunt him, and that's going to haunt that franchise in this offseason. That was a complete dud of an offensive performance at home for the right to go to the Super Bowl. Hard to get over that. Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV.
Tish, and I want to share one of my favorite TCC alumni stories. It's been almost 30 years since Charlie Ward led the 1993 FSU football team to its first national championship, won the Heisman, and became the first Heisman winner to play in the NBA. But did you know, like thousands of students before and since, he started his college career at TCC? We are proud to call Charlie Ward one of our own. Today, he serves on the TCC District Board of Trustees, so you might even get to see him around campus.
TCC thanks our community for 58 years of support. We look forward to moving into the future together.
Keeping power reliable and affordable here in Florida is our most important commitment. At Duke Energy, we're working across our communities, strengthening our systems, rerouting power to help avoid outages, and adding proven innovations that will help make the grid stronger and more secure today and ready for tomorrow. Because Florida deserves more reliable and affordable power, and we're determined to deliver it. Paid for by Duke Energy shareholders.
When you need a plumber quick, how long is an acceptable time to have to wait?
Yeah, hey, it's the Millers again. Just calling you about our little plumbing problem.
2 hours?
Hey, we were hoping you can get here soon because the water is getting really bad. I mean, please hurry.
4 hours?
I know you said you were on your way, but, honey, tell the kids to tread water.
8 hours?
Don't worry about us.
At M&L Plumbing, you'll never have to wait long for quality, dependable service, right when you need it. At M&L Plumbing, we listen to our customers, and our qualified technicians aim to achieve 100% customer satisfaction. So the next time you need plumbing work or repairs, think of the name M&L Plumbing, your local plumbing experts, commercial or residential. Give us a call, 850-575-9393, or visit us online at mndlplumbing.com. M&L Plumbing, for all of your plumbing needs.
Man, I just got a text from my wife. She wants me to cook dinner and then snuggle on the couch next to a roaring fire.
So what's the problem, Dave? You already got the new grill, and you're a great cook.
I got one major problem. We don't have a fireplace.
Man, that's an easy fix. Just call Hearth and Patio. They got a lot of fireplaces that can help you for your romantic evenings. Wood, gas, electric, and a ton of different sizes, man. Call Hearth and Patio today, 850-727-4282, or visit them online at hearthpatiotallahassee.com. Hearth and Patio. Ignite that spark in your life.
There's nothing like relaxing in a hot tub after a long day. But if you don't have one, you're truly missing out. Hot tubs and spas have tremendous health benefits, besides just helping you relax. Like improving your sleep, they help with pain relief. They help to better your cardiovascular health, and so much more. And this season is the perfect season to finally buy what you've been wishing for. Pinch a Penny Pool, Patio, and Spas has the hot tubs you need for the price you want. Come shop our huge 12,000 square foot showroom and save today. There's over 50 hot tubs in stock right now, so you won't have to wait weeks on end for that delivery to finally come to town. If you're ready to relax, we're here to show you how. Pinch a Penny Pool, Patios, and Spas. Come visit our huge showroom at 2473 Greer Road with over 50 hot tubs to choose from. You'll be glad you did.
We all want more energy, more strength, more results. Well, welcome to Orange Theory Fitness as you take a step towards feeling more alive today. Backed by science, Orange Theory's heart rate monitored to keep heart rates in a target zone, spiking metabolism and increasing energy. Orange Theory Fitness is a one-of-a-kind group personal training workout resulting in more energy, visible toning, and extra calorie burn for up to 36 hours. Experience a more vibrant life today with Orange Theory Fitness. To find out more, go to orangetheoryfitness.com.
The Jeff Cameron Show is a production of the Warchant.com Multimedia Network. Check out Warchant.com today for the latest news inside Florida State athletics. That's Warchant.com. Now, back to
with the way the Chiefs defense has played, juxtaposed to the way the 49ers defense has played. Throw in the mix that Patrick Mahomes is 14-3 in his career in the playoffs. He has 2 overtime losses and 1 in the Super Bowl against the Bucs. That's the only bad loss, and I say bad loss meaning the game wasn't competitive. They couldn't block for him that afternoon, and nobody could catch, and they lost 31-9 to Tampa Bay, of course. But the other 2 losses are in overtime. Other than that, he's won all the other games, every one of them. And at some point, you just go, well, goodness gracious. And that is, he's only the 5th quarterback in history to have at least 3 Super Bowl. Think about this. He'll be vying to become the 5th quarterback in NFL history to have at least 3 Super Bowl championships. Tom Brady has 6. Joe Montana has 4. Terry Bradshaw has 4. Troy Aikman has 3. So Mahomes, Brady, Peyton Manning, Montana are the only quarterbacks to have at least 2 Super Bowl championships and 2 MVP awards. For the 6th consecutive season, Patrick Mahomes, as the starting quarterback of the Kansas City Chiefs, has reached the AFC Championship game or better. The only streak that is better in the history of the National Football League is the one that New England went on from 2011 to 2018. So the comparisons to Tom Brady for Patrick Mahomes have merit. I mean, he's doing something and has done some things and is better in some areas, by the way. Not I know at the end of the day, Peyton, listen to me. No, Peyton Manning does not. Tom Brady has 6 championships, so Mahomes still has climbing to do. But at this rate, he's not only going to get there, he's going to get there shockingly quick. It is something. So credit where credit's due. They came out the gates firing right off the bat, right down the field. And, Hamilton, I just got done talking about how great he is, and he is for Baltimore. But he gives up a touchdown to a tight end for the first time all year, because of course he does. It's Mahomes and Kelsey. And how many times are we going to watch a Chiefs game and say, somebody better cover Travis Kelsey? You remember me going on this rant 2 years ago, 3 years ago, and again last year and saying the whole world knows that Kelsey's going to get the ball, and over and over and over again. Like, oh, look at that. Kelsey's got another one. I believe that's his 8th catch in the first quarter. This is ridiculous. It's hard. It's hard to imagine. I end game. You want to talk about a bad beat in game? When Kelsey got to 9, I checked a player prop on the Hard Rock app, and they set it for 11.5. I'm like, I'm going over. Nobody's covered him yet. He had 2 catches in the second half. I lost by a half.
Yeah. It seemed like in that first drive, it's like anything else. First 15 plays, and Gruden was very good at this. But it looked like Kansas City was going to drop 40. Early, just like Mahomes saw everything he was checking to worked. They were able to run the football with consistency, and then there was the play to Kelsey, the 4th and 2. That's the best catch of the day. Like, I understand the touchdown catch is a back shoulder, but the more difficult one was the hands catch on the 4th down that kept that drive alive. That was very, very impressive.
Hell of a catch, yes.
I still think it's the effect of Rashee Rice. I'm not saying that Rice is more valuable than Kelsey. I'm just saying that an honest wide receiver threat allows for Kelsey to be in more advantageous situations. Now, you are allowed to cover him a little bit tighter, but in the end, this was a game where the race was to 20. If you're Baltimore, if you get to 20, you're going to win the football game. So it comes down to the offensive failures for Baltimore more than it does the defensive failures and Mahomes' greatness. The defense did what it was supposed to do, and they got a big-time call and a big-time stop, too. On that 4th down stop early in the game, that spot on 3rd down was awful.
Kelsey got the first down, yeah.
And even if he didn't, it's within quarterback sneak range. You would never have to step him.
You see this all the time. We really have to. I mean, how many times are we going? All of us as football fans going to have to observe some old ass man being out of position, trying to run over there and spot a football. In the era of technology that we're in, we see the marvels of technology in every game that we watch. Whether it's the NFL, whether it's a tennis match, whether it's basketball, whether it's baseball. They're always breaking things out that leave you speechless, where you're going, really? How'd they do? That's amazing. So we know that he was running 22.12 miles per hour on that first down. That is crazy. And they get it like this. They track it like that. And then they've got the pylon cam, and they got all the other stuff that we see, and yet it's some frumpy dude trying to get out there. I think it's here, Bob. My foot's right on it. And then if Bob doesn't give him the ball right away, he may move around him. He may be like, oh, I'm going to switch feet here. Wait a minute. You just switched feet 6 inches back. What are you doing? Get your foot back to where it was. I see this all the time. I'm always looking at a dude's feet. The guy that comes running up is like, I got it. A lot of times he's at complete odds with the other dude on the other side running up going, no, I got it. And it's all fun and games unless it's your team getting bent over. Unless it's your team that went from 1st down and 10 at the 35 to 4th and about 1.5 yards inexplicably. What are we doing? We're 3 yards apart on our spot.
So according to, and you've got the rushing chart, but according to Baldinger, who does some good stuff on Twitter with all 22s.
Yes, he does.
Designed runs for Lamar Jackson yesterday. Two.
Well, I know. I didn't have to hear Baldinger. I saw it. I watched and couldn't believe it.
One of which was quarterback power on 4th and short. And it was
he could have gone to the house.
You could have run that play as one of your base plays and run play action off of that, man. That looks sustainable. That looks sustainable to me.
Also, one weird thing about that play, by the way, the 4th down play, which is an excellent call. Stop looking behind you. Run the damn ball. What are you doing? Stop looking back and slapping. Just run. It was ridiculous. I mean, you're Lamar F. Jackson. You're fast as lightning. Run. Let's see if he can catch you. Run.
That's the thing is with him, you're going to have to live with weird stuff all the time because the touchdown, Zay Flowers is the read, but Zay Flowers is a 4-yard hook and he's wide open and you're going to move the chains. It's a 1st down. He is your first read. You see it, let it go. And it's going to be a touchdown, but instead he's Lamar. And so he can buy 6 more seconds,
8.5 seconds in the pocket.
Right. And then you hit him deep for the touchdown. So all's well that ends well, but that's the kind of stuff that you're just going to have to live with. Singular plays, but then also maddeningly odd stuff that just doesn't fit your typical down and distance. It's unpredictable. You're going to get a lot of
everybody on the offensive side, from the coaching staff to the quarterback, to the receiver. There was an immaturity, a sort of a rushed feel, a strange sort of panic, almost from Jump Street. It was very strange. That first drive of the game at home, you come out of the smoke, the world's waiting. Here we go. This is supposedly, statistically, one of the greatest teams in the NFL's history. That was the quickest 3 and out. Sorry, it's looking like just incoherent. It's your first drive of the game. Where's the script? What do we do? We got nothing. The touchdown that you respond with is nice, and it portends, we think, in the moment that it's some great shootout between legend quarterbacks, right? That's what you think is about to go down. But that's a busted play, to your point. It's not a great drive. It's a busted play. My man's running around forever. And then he throws up a beautiful pass after resetting his feet. But the rest of this is awful. It's hard to imagine. Here it is. Here you go. I mean, I pulled it up because I was kind of stunned by this, and then I wanted to see, all right, what did we get here? Here it is. And I didn't mention the 5 insane penalties. A lot of it speaks to a childishness that was bizarre. Anyhow, so you had the horrific INT from Lamar too, where they could have cut it to a 1-possession game. But here you go. This is him. Punt, touchdown, fumble, punt, half, punt, fumble, INT, field goal, punt, off to the golf course. That's it. Did you hear that? That is ass. That can't happen. That's not all in Lamar, although he didn't help himself. That's not all in Lamar. But I am curious how Harbaugh, who's a veteran coach, who's won a Super Bowl, who's as well-respected and good in this game as there is, how are you on that headset and at some point not overriding the panic that Todd Monken is clearly going through right now? I mean, Todd lost any sort of semblance of rhythm. It can happen. We've seen it with great play callers. I generally think Monken's good. He was terrible yesterday. And you give the ball to Gus Edwards one time in the first half for 15 yards, and you're like, that's enough out of you. That's enough out of you and your 15-yard carries. And by the way, the rest of you don't expect to run it anytime soon either. I mean, goodness gracious. I got the over on the passing yards for Price and the under. I didn't get the over on the rush yards. I missed it by like that much, but they didn't give him the damn ball.
Yeah, so I had a double money liner on both dogs, and it paid out at 9.5 to 1. It hurt my feelings a little bit because at halftime I could have cashed out. It's like deal or no deal, and I could have gotten it 4 to 1 at half. You know what they're doing? I'm like 4 to 1. Let's let it ride. And then by the time it's down to a 1-possession game, it's not. I mean, it's like here's your money back. I'm like, well, at this point, let's just keep rolling. And unfortunately, the Lions. I won't forget that plus 926. It was plus 926.
I got to give the Lions credit, though. I had the in-game bet. I took the in-game bet on the Lions to cover, and that last touchdown got me there once they were down 10. It was the craziest bet because I had the 49ers -7 at the start of the week, and I stayed with it, and they're getting blown out. And I'm going, they need to chase something here. And so I'm like, I'm going to go with the Lions cover here. And then 49ers come back and are up 10. I'm like, you idiot. This is what you get. And then the 49ers scored. Luckily, I got the cover there.
Well, and that's the thing. Like, I use these terms interchangeably, but momentum and pressure, momentum applies pressure, right? Like, if you tell me pressure is not really a thing, then watch that second half and tell me how they all pick at this same exact moment to drop passes. How do they all pick the same sequence of time? That's got to be terribly mathematically very, very difficult to do. It has nothing. Yeah, come on, man.
Well, imagine my man. He's not sleeping tonight. That's a few days. I got to keep an eye on him.
The one catch they played hot potato back and forth. By the midfield.
Yeah. God, it just shows you how hard a job it is, though. Like, that's crazy. That Todd Monken, who's got a good track record, a lot of people love Monken, and then you watch that, you're like, what are you doing? You've lost it. You have lost your effing mind.
And I agree with you that there's more bad than good when it comes to the Stripes. So you shouldn't hold a parade when they get it right. But to be definitive, to discuss and be definitive about the touchback in the AFC Championship game, that takes guts in that moment. To just put your hands up and be like, it's a scoring play. We'll take a look at it later versus here you go. Turnovers are reviewed too, but that's the burden of overcoming a touchback versus a touchdown. It would be talked about more if it was inconclusive, but people think touchdown. They got that right, like point blank. That was the correct call. It wasn't close.
It wasn't close, and it's why the coaches say unless it's 4th down, you don't extend. You don't like. That is Belichick was the first I ever heard say that. He said they have a rule in New England, like you get in big trouble if you're a player and you extend and you don't hold on to the ball. If you fumble out the end zone, unless it's 4th down, you do not do that. It's gonna be 1st and goal at the inch line. You're going to be all right, man. We're going to get that. We're going to get ahead and get in there. And if we don't deserve to. You don't have to extend there. It's a great play. It's a great play by the defender, but It's Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV.
Your local news now.
Officers responded to the 500 block of Castlewood Drive after a shooting left a woman injured. Officers found the woman with gunshot wounds at about 8:30 p.m. Friday. She was sitting in a car which was stopped near South Meridian Street in the area of Castlewood Drive and Laurel Avenue. The shooting took place in the street. Officers provided life-saving care before she was transported to the hospital. Have information to release on a suspect, but they did say there is no known danger to the community and residents do not need to take any extra precautions. Details leading up to the shooting have not been released. A shooting took place on Thursday, leaving one man with injuries. Around 4:40 p.m., officers responded to a home in the 1200 block of Joe Louis Street due to a man suffering from a gunshot wound to the leg. Officers found the victim outside. He provided limited information regarding what had happened. The victim was transported to a local hospital where his injuries were determined non-life-threatening. There are currently no suspects. The investigation is ongoing. This is Rachel Lene with your Real Talk 93.3 Local News Update, brought to you by Macklemore Systems, Tallahassee's go-to Mac store. Check them out online at MacklemoreSystems.com.
This is meteorologist Paul Trombley with your Real Talk 93.3 weather update. Ample sunshine expected this afternoon with daytime highs approaching 60. Winds out of the northwest, 8 to 15 miles per hour. Tonight, lows level off around 37. Lots of sunshine tomorrow. High temperatures reach up to 63. Seasonal temperatures Wednesday and Thursday with highs in the mid-60s. This report is brought to you by the Lawn Johns. For all your landscaping and lawn care needs, visit thelawnjohns.com. currently 57.
Gee, honey, I'm not gonna lie. Our front yard is looking sad. Don't you think it's time for some TLJ?
I'm pretty sure you mean TLC, and I don't have time for all that work.
No, I'm talking about some TLJ, like in the radio commercials. Give your yard some TLJ from the Lawn Johns.
For all your lawn care and landscaping needs, give your yard the TLC it deserves with some TLJ. Call the Lawn Johns today for a free quote at 322-2567 or visit lawnjohns.com.
So everybody knows, Eddie, that you are a spectacular cook. Of course they know that. If they go into Bumpa's, the food is always good. I mean, everything on the menu. Everything at Gordo's is delicious. I always, of course, get the bungalow chungla, as I call it.
The bungalow chung, Jeff?
Is that what is the pork?
The bungalow chung, Jeff.
Okay, the bungalow chungla. It's delicious. All of these things, all the items, everything you do, a master cook. But, sir, I would ask you, what is a skill that you possess that you're particularly proud of that nobody would know and that you could share with us here?
Growing hair, Jeff. Growing hair.
You're an asshole. Gordo's, bringing the flavor and flair of Cuban food to Tallahassee since 1996.
The Jeff Cameron Show is a production of the Warchant.com Multimedia Network. Check out Warchant.com today for the latest news inside Florida State athletics. That's Warchant.com.
Based on the spread, the Chiefs, quote unquote, pulled upsets in those two games. 9th team in the last 20 years to do that. According to what I read this morning with ESPN Stats and Info, 6 of the previous 8 went on to win the Super Bowl. The Chiefs are 12-8 against the spread this season. The 49ers are 9-10 against the spread. Since 2001, underdogs are 11-11 outright and 15-7 against the spread in the Super Bowl. I'm really kind of anxious to see what that is. By the way, very quiet story. Nobody cares. I get it. Your boy had Hogard in that golf tournament, guys, that ended on Saturday. A little pizza money on him to win it, and he finished second. I know. Nobody's losing sleep. It's a hell of a pick by yours truly. It's an awesome pick. I got nothing for it. Nothing but a... Boy, you were on him. Good job, Jeff. Yeah, I was. That's twice this year I've had somebody that I picked to win a tournament outright as like nobody close to being a favorite. I'm not over here picking Schauffele. I'm picking guys you've never even heard of. And twice this year I've had one finish second, one finish third. Damn it, man. Yeah, I would have had a fully funding betting card for the rest of the year if these guys hit.
That would have been a nice steak dinner for me if I hit the double underdog. I just couldn't believe that it was catching 9-1. I mean, for those two, that seems very reasonable. And it was very deal or no deal. You know, it's like I was like, open the case, and then the big number's gone. He's like, open the case, and the big number's gone. And then he's like, your case contains $5, and it's like, oh,
effing bucks. That's what you got,
and some TV time. Great, thanks, appreciate you.
Well, I'm happy for Pavon. The French never win a damn thing ever in golf, ever. In fact, they've not won a PGA Tour event until that dude did. So it's not me just making it up. But I could have done without him shooting a 69 on this day because my man Hogard shot a 70, and I lost by a stroke. Golly. That'll hurt your feelings. And I didn't win the highest Asian bet either. He fell off on Friday and Saturday and dropped to 33. He was passed by multiple Asians. Not even close to what I needed.
I'm just wondering what betting service you're using because, my man, I don't know. That seems like a very strange betting service.
That's awesome. You can find those things on a lot of places. They'll have highest Swede, highest French, highest. Yeah, they do it. Why not? It's great. It's one more thing to bet on.
It's like the UN tab and your props, like our United Nations tab. Here you go.
You go over there with player props. You can get head-to-head, usually like head-to-head DraftKings stuff where they'll, you can bet players against one another. But you can go highest, American. You can do that too. Who's the highest American?
Yeah.
That most people would say that's Matthew McConaughey. But you can go through and look and find anybody you want. It's great.
Yeah. Highest finisher among countries that have signed the Kyoto Accords. And it's like they will put players from countries that didn't, and that's just you can't win. You got to know your stuff.
You got to know your history, or else you can't win the bet.
Yeah,
that's awesome. Actually, I just think it's getting more and more like Europe all the time with these things. That's the best, to go in on these apps and be like, look at that. I can bet whether or not an Asian will 3-putt this weekend. I think they will.
How prevalent was gambling on the streets of Ireland, like parlors and so forth? Is it as big there as it was in England? Because every 5. Go ahead.
Yeah, sorry, it's not as big as it is in London. Like when I was in London, really anywhere I was in England, you're right. It's everywhere. It's awesome. It's on the little blackboards outside the bars when you walk in. You're like, oh, we got some time to get it on when we get in here. These people aren't fooling around. I loved it. And then you can do the same with, you can do this in Ireland. Now, there's plenty of gambling, and there are spots, you see them frequently. They also love horse racing over there. And Leopardstown, where we went, is a beautiful track. And if you're going over to see Florida State play in that game, you can get to Leopardstown. It's about 30 minutes outside of Dublin. It's awesome. And their tracks over there are massive. Those poor horses, I thought they were going to drop dead of heart attacks. They make them run so far. It's ridiculous. It's on grass. It's not on mud. It's on grass, and it's lush, green, gorgeous, but they're running for days, Tom. I was exhausted watching them run. That's how long I had to watch them.
It'd be like if Gilbert Brown was on a soccer pitch instead of a football field.
You're like, oh, this is not going to end well.
You need Flacco for the swing passes, just the flares out of the backfield because the pitch is so wide. And there's Gilbert. He's in for one play a quarter.
Yeah, no, it's funny, but no, there's plenty of gambling, but it's not as prevalent as it was in England, like you said. But it's a good time. It's a very good time. And, bringing it back to Florida State for a second, I did read something today that really piqued my interest, and Jordan Reed is the NFL draft analyst who wrote it. Really quick, I'll share with you guys, just because when we get into the offseason, until we get to that first week, we're going to be loading up for information on the spring game and practices getting started. We've segued out of a lot of the pertinent recruiting. I don't want to say that 2025 doesn't matter. It does. But in terms of guys that are going to affect the team in the very, very near future, as in this year or next, we've kind of moved beyond that for now until that portal window opens back up and see if there's anything extra. This is the stuff as you get set to kind of gear up towards the draft that you get excited about, because Florida State, unlike last year, are going to have a lot of guys get drafted. And I just want to say kudos to Jerry and Jones. I'm going to read directly from Jordan Reed's analysis. Saw Florida State twice while on the road live scouting this season, once at Clemson and the other against Louisville. Jones's fluidity in coverage was very impressive. His play has improved after kicking inside to nickel. He allowed a solid 28.6% completion rate, hauled in 3 interceptions. At 6'190", he transitions with ease in and out of his breaks and has the length and strength and tackling ability to be an asset as a run defender as well. Jones is currently viewed as a mid to late day 3 prospect among scouts, but I'm giving him a 4th-round grade at the moment. NFL teams have put an emphasis on adding nickel corners. Jones has the fluidity and the physicality that teams covet on the inside, and because of his ball skills, he's got a chance to really stand out in portions of the East-West Shrine Bowl practices and maybe create some turnovers there. I hope so. I like that guy, by the way, very quietly. He helped be not only a productive player, but a kind of a glue guy, a real glue guy for this football team. He was respected as a real leader, I thought. So I'm rooting for him And a lot of these guys are very likable. We talked about how likable this team was. He's one of the reasons. He's one of many. And the draft this year will feature a lot of Florida State guys, which we always love, an infusion of Knowles.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of meat on that bone in terms of a talking point. And it might use a word that starts with D that we don't say very often around these parts the last 10 years, but it's development. It's development. I mean, you found a home for that kid in the secondary last year. And coming out of camp, a camp that he didn't participate very much in, at least that I remember, it was mostly Greedy Vance in the nickel slot. They had Jerrion Jones, and his name was atop the list as a starter. So whatever limited time he got, he must have impressed, because there isn't a whole lot of slot corner film for this particular player. But you've got to give credit to Coach Surtain in communication with that defensive staff, saying this is going to work. This kid is going to fit in this particular role. Because if you think about it, when you look at two key opponents in state, one has Restrepo, one has Pearsall. Neither of them did much of anything against Florida State this year. And you could thank Jerrion Jones for that.
Pearsall had a catch. Appreciate you showing up for the big game there, buddy.
And Restrepo's coming back again.
Year 40. Hour number 2, forthcoming. Stay with Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV.
Lawson & Lawson Electrical Services has been Tallahassee's preferred residential electrician for over 30 years. Hi, this is Rowdy Lawson, and we've earned our reputation because we care about our customers, about quality, and about providing great service. We stand by every job we do and consider it a privilege to work on a family project like a new house, a custom addition, or a green renovation. For all your residential or service projects, call the good guys, Lawson & Lawson Electrical Services, 562-4111.
Hi, Chris Kraft for the Kraft Brothers dealerships. What I'm about to tell you may give you a chance to start out the new year in a new car. You see, our year-end sales event was so successful at Kraft Nissan that a number of longtime customers told us they were too busy this holiday season to come in for the big sale. So we did what we always do. We called Nissan Corporate and asked if they could help us out with some special pricing and interest rate incentives in January. And boy, did they come through. Just listen to this, because interest rates are really dropping. 1.9% interest for 60 months or 2.9% for 72 months on all new Rogues. 3.9% interest for 60 months or 4.9% for 72 on all 2024 Frontiers. And check out these deals. 2023 Armadas and the all-electric Aria SUVs are up to $7,500 off. And you get 3.9% interest for 60 months or 4.9% for 72. You get both special interest rates and up to $7,500 off. But hurry, the deals end January 31st. Kraft Nissan on Mahan Drive.
This is Jamie McClenney with Trek Financial in Tallahassee. Despite the highest global interest rates in almost 2 decades, inverted yield curves, conflicts in the Middle East, and 3 of the largest bank failures in U.S. history, equities and bond markets have posted stellar returns for 2023. The Dow Jones, the NASDAQ 100, and the Russell 2000 all reached new highs as markets rallied on the expectations of Fed pauses, Fed easing, and Fed bank bailouts. Markets are going to do what markets are going to do, but a clearly defined risk management protocol can help to mitigate large drawdowns in your retirement nest egg. If you're concerned where all this might be headed, call me at 850-900-5200 and let's talk about ways to mitigate the risk in your portfolio.
Make Jamie your first call for that second opinion. Investment advisory services offered through Trek Financial LLC, an SEC-registered investment advisor.
There's fun to be had every night at the Corner Pocket. Take home prizes on Trivia Tuesdays and Beer Bingo Thursdays. And kickstart your weekend with Martini Fridays. Plus happy hour runs every weekday and game day specials every time the Noles take the field. Watch all the best games at the Corner Pocket's Vegas wall, featuring 560 inches of flat screen TV heaven.
Oh, really?
The best food, the best drinks, and the best place to watch all the games. Tallahassee loves the Corner Pocket.
Coming up next, more of the Jeff Cameron Show. Live and local on Real Talk 93.3. WVFT. Greta, Tallahassee.
The latest betting odds and live movements from Vegas. This is your action update. Now here are your latest lines from our guys in the desert.
The Dallas Mavericks have won 11 straight at home against the Orlando Magic. They're a 5.5-point favorite at home today, minus 205 with a money line, 228.5 the total. The Mavericks have gone 4-1 to the under at home in their last 5 games at American Airlines Center. In college basketball, Florida A&M a 5.5-point home dog to Jackson State, 144.5 the total at the Al Lawson Center in Tallahassee. Super Bowl 58, February the 11th in Las Vegas. The 49ers, 1-point favorite over the Chiefs. The total, 47.5 at Allegiant Stadium. Football fans, score big without the burn. Play for free for a chance to win your share of $10,000 at TumsPropBites.com. Mike Son at Real Talk 93.3.
Some people just know bundling with Allstate means big savings. Just like they know the right ingredient means big flavor. They know honey on pizza is where it's at. And olive oil on ice cream is the cherry on top. And they know when you bundle home and auto with Allstate, you can save up to 25%.
Bundled savings vary by state and are not available in every state. Saving up to 25% is the countrywide average of the maximum available savings off the home policy. Allstate Vehicle and Property Insurance Company and affiliates, Northbrook, Illinois.
If you're hiring, it can feel like trying to find a needle in a haystack. You can hope the right person comes along, or you can just use ZipRecruiter. Like Marco, president of operations at Telly Tires and Auto Centers.
ZipRecruiter helps me find all the right people, even the most difficult jobs to fill.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Now try ZipRecruiter free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter.com/FREE.
Zaxby's Sensation Salad is so much more than a plain old salad. It's a salad, which begs the question, at what point does a salad stop being a salad and become a salad? Is it when you add Zaxby's fried chicken to it? Crunchy wontons? Asian slaw? Citrus vinaigrette? Teriyaki glaze? Sweet and spicy sauce? Or is it when you top it all with a handmade perfectly fried egg roll? Without a doubt, the egg roll. The Sensation Salad, only at Zaxby's.
Widden Glass has been taking care of business since 1945. When you call Widden Glass, you're dealing with experienced, reliable professionals who offer only the best. Like Widden's top-of-the-line bath enclosures that provide style and luxury at an affordable price. Eye-catching storefronts are a specialty at Widden Glass. We'll help you design it and install it. Widden Glass, the first name in glass replacement. Call 222-5781.
Barry knows cool. He's keeping you comfortable. Barry knows cool. You can build him to the test.
Your heating and air conditioning system doesn't check with you before it takes a break. That's why we're always ready to help. Any day, anytime, anywhere. And with our annual service agreement, there are no overtime charges. Ever. At Verno Heating and Air, we will always be there for you.
Barry knows heating and air conditioning.
License CAC 1816186.
We all want more energy, more strength, more results. Well, welcome to Orange Theory Fitness as you take a step towards feeling more alive today. Backed by science, Orange Theory's heart rate monitored workout is scientifically designed to keep heart rates in a target zone, spiking metabolism and increasing energy. Orange Theory Fitness is a one-of-a-kind group personal training workout resulting in more energy, visible toning, and extra calorie burn for up to 36 hours. Experience a more vibrant life today with Orange Theory Fitness. To find out more, go to orangetheoryfitness.com.
Broadcasting live from Florida's capital city, this is the Jeff Cameron Show, brought to you by Orange Theory Fitness on Real Talk 93.3. Now, stop what you're doing and listen closely. It's time for the Jeff Cameron Show in 5, 4,
at work anymore? Like, are you tuned in to me on the radio at your office? Maybe a bygone era, Tommy. Folks dialing it up, the transistor. Plenty of you watching on Warchant TV. Thank you. And if you're driving about, delivering packages, and you're listening to the Jeff Cameron Show, good on you, sir. Good on you, ma'am. We greatly appreciate that. I'm to the age now where a couple things are true. I have to stretch more than I'd like. And I love getting packages in the mail. Soon I'll be talking about birds and the weather.
Buddy, you know what? I would love anybody who wants to, and I'm talking to my friends, like behind off the air, not to the masses. I'm not asking for free things because that's an FCC violation.
It is.
Not in a cardboard box. I've seen enough cardboard boxes for the next 2 to 3 years of my life. No more. No more. The amount of cardboard to remove.
Get them in the packages, Tommy. Get them in the packages where you just rip them on open. And a lot of times these days, businesses are smart. They'll throw in a little sticker for you.
Yep, there you go. Yes, if it's in those little Amazon packages that they're bubble wrapped, that's okay. But the cardboard, man, and
too many boxes,
dude. We could fill up this room that I'm in right now, and it's a 10 by 12 room. We could just fill it up with cardboard boxes. It's ridiculous.
Get it out of there, Tom. Get it out of there. It's going to only anger you. That clutter will ruin your life, sir.
Well, there was a second wave of it. We had it done, and then there's a second wave of it. You know, it's a little piece of furniture there. It's a secondary Tallahassee things here. No.
Yeah, I do. I love going out to the mailbox, and I'm like, man, look at this. Look at this. I got me a new shirt that I forgot I even ordered. Or some socks. Or what is this? I forgot I got this too. Why did I get this? Yeah, it's hilarious. I love that when it happens. It's like, it just makes my week when I get something in the mail. I forgot I ordered this Tampa Bay Buccaneers shirt a while back, and it arrived. It was delayed, and they had sent me an email and said, your order, it'll be there. It's delayed. Sorry about that. I'm like, okay, whatever. I don't need it right now. I'm not dying for this Bucs shirt right now. I've got plenty of Bucs gear, plenty of Florida State gear, plenty of stuff. It's plenty of Florida State gear thanks to our friends at Garnet and Gold. Anyhow, so I forgot about it. And then over the weekend, Tom, it came. It was like 3 weeks after it was supposed to get there, so I wasn't expecting it. I moseyed on out there on Saturday and went, oh, look what we have here. Very exciting. Very exciting. I'll wear it this week. I know you guys are all very curious about it. Hey, here's something else that's good news, filled with good news today. We're less than 2 weeks away from pitchers and catchers, kids. Pitchers and catchers are reporting. For those of you of a certain age, certainly you appreciate baseball, but obviously also those of a certain IQ. If you are upper echelon like myself, Tom Lang, Director Matthew, then you get where I'm coming from. The great game of baseball is nearly upon us, and pitchers and catchers report, and just picture those. Hey, quick question for the audience. For the listeners of this show, you can email me or in the chat here. And then, Tom, certainly you're free to respond because I know you have had both at various points. I think I have to get rid of Hulu, right? Like, I'm about done with Hulu. I have to get YouTube TV, don't I? Because I don't have MLB channel, and this isn't going to work for me. It's now I'll get the baseball package either way. But I want to watch is Hulu better than YouTube TV, or is YouTube TV better than Hulu? Just answer the question.
You're asking me?
I'm asking you right now.
I never had Hulu Live Sports. I never needed to deviate off of YouTube TV for the quality. YouTube TV is great. However, YouTube TV does not have MLB Network. So this is not the place.
Screw them.
Sling is the place that you would want to turn. But
I don't like Sling. I don't feel like Sling's worth a damn.
It is good enough for the extra channels that you need. I typically add it for the hockey playoffs, because typically NHL Network and MLB Network come together. But as we discussed before, we've come 360 degrees. The cheapest manner by which for me to get all channels was to just bundle it with my internet provider with Verizon, a cable company. That was the easiest way up here, and it really isn't close because the RSNs for New York sports are very expensive if you're trying one-offs. Yeah. So it was only, I think it's like $205 with taxes to get it all, everything. And I've got every channel in the world plus the internet that I need to do the job. not stumping for Verizon. It sounds like it, but if you want to do it the right way and get all the channels that you need, you're spending $250, $300 a month these days.
That is the problem, man. And as a sports talk show host and lover of sports in general, I'm not going to miss things. I need to be. That's why I had Hulu with live sports. I wanted to make sure I got everything. I'm telling you, we've gone down this road before, and I'm coming at this from a sports talk radio standpoint. So this is like viable for those of you listening. I mean, this is like, you guys can weigh in on this. Let me know. Listen, I know I can get Disney packaged with Amazon packaged with whatever. I've already done that. I'm talking for sports reasons. What's the best of the bundles? What's the best? YouTube TV discernibly better? Is it appreciably better to have Hulu with live sports? Is it better to have some other service? I don't know the answer to that, and I seem to get different answers from different people. I don't think there seems to be a consensus on this right now. I'm a little perturbed by that. I can't get anybody to say, no, definitively, Jeff, here's the answer and here's why.
Agreed. Because again, if you're trying to get all these things with HD and then your local channels as well, like there's not a catch-all that's not a cable company. It just isn't. Like, so I would add on Sling at a lower level to go get MLB and they got the Strike Zone on the weekends too, which is fun. Friday night Strike Zone, and then the NHL Network. But then they don't have Golf Channel, so you have to keep the YouTube TV to have Golf Channel. Like, it just they spread it out very nicely. It's almost like they're in cahoots.
I'm telling you right now, we believed the lie. We were sure that cutting the cable was the way to go. Cutting the cord, I don't think it is. I think in retrospect, I'm not saving any money. I'm not doing any better than I was.
Well, the key is, and man, we are getting older, aren't we? This is a segment we wouldn't have done 15 years ago, is it?
No. But if I were 21, I'd care about this segment. I want to know what the hell to have.
The thing was that fiber wasn't available with the cable companies. And to me, internet is very important because that is the means by which that's my assembly line. That's the assembly line for my job. So fiber matters. But now you can do it all with fiber, at least up here. MetroNet, I don't think they might give you DirecTV Stream, which I don't know how good that is or not. I've got no idea how good DirecTV Stream is.
So I use MetroNet, and I have fiber, obviously, and I have MetroNet. So I use them for everything. I use it for my internet. I use it for my Hulu. I use it for my Amazon, for everything. And I don't have any problems with it. It streams. Everything's fine. I get my local channels. I get the HBO. I get all the things that I need. And I have not had a problem. But I'm not saving any money, and they don't have MLB, which drives me nuts. And I was thinking about that today because I was thinking about the return of baseball. I was thinking about the return of Florida State baseball. I was also thinking about Warchant.com, and here's why. I went and read Ira Schaffel's piece on the names change, but expectations remain sky high for FSU and the Norvell offense. And I didn't realize that he quoted you and me in here, buddy. We did our W's and L's segment, and he wrote about it. And then obviously there's a nice link to the video. And we dove into this version of W's and L's, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. But for some reason, going back and reading that piece, I think he nailed the crux of this is exactly what I was thinking about why I told you that my expectations felt and seemed perhaps unreasonable. But the more that I listed the players, either that were retained, and always a shout out to the Battle's End, or that were brought in by Mike Norvell and staff. And I married that with like the experience at key positions, including quarterback, with DJU being what he is, having played so much football. Like, you're not going to lose because of him. He may not go win you games, but you're not going to lose because of him. And you have weapons, and we think the line's going to be better. And then retaining Darrell Jackson, Josh Farmer, Patrick Payton, amongst others. Like, how could you not be very, very optimistic for Florida State? I just don't know how you couldn't be. Like, even if I were to try to play the role of the devil's advocate and point to the percentage of starts lost and the reps lost, snaps lost from last year's team, which usually equates to some sort of step back, and, it's early, it's hard to know what you're going to get. But when I look at the schedule, I think you're afforded opportunities here to win games before you have to play that Clemson game and kind of get some things figured out. And they have good players. I just don't know how you wouldn't be very, very optimistic about the upcoming season. So, yeah, maybe it's a little heady to come out here and say 12-0 as I did last week when we did W's and L's. But it's even if I come back around and say 11, at no point am I going to go below 10-2.
Right, which would be Charlotte. Like the expectation would be that we got a place to go and things to do the first weekend of December this upcoming year because Charlotte is going to be on the docket. Now, a month ago, would you have said, that Charlotte feels like something you should just book and be done with right now? Maybe not. Probably not. But as we sit here today, and there was another announcement, Hakeem Williams, which I know in the chat every day, people are like, what the hell's the deal with Hakeem? Where's the Hakeem announcement?
It happened.
That happened. Battle's End did the job. Hakeem in the fold, good to go. It feels like, Charlotte is more probable than not, and by a pretty big margin at this point, right? Because they're going to be able to set the line of scrimmage on both sides of the ball.
They are. I do want to point out, Tom, look at your screen here. I think Toby got this right. That's correct, Toby. I did pull his Noel card. Not nearly as confident as I am. You remember that when it comes time at the end of the year to give credit. Credits too.
That's fine. Sometimes I sacrifice for you because you sacrifice for these viewers and these podcast listeners. Just I'm inspired by that at times, and I feel in this case perhaps you know what, you've done so much lifting. You got Popeye forearms. You've done so much lifting of these burdens. It's my turn. One loss for the Noles. Sorry. Here's the card.
It's an egregious decision on your part to have that game be Notre Dame. I mean, in that dump of a town, we're going to fly all the way to Chicago, have a great time, build up enthusiasm and joy amongst each other, drive over there to that dump of a city that is South Bend, walk into that ancient-ass stadium. It's hard, concrete, nasty seats, and then sit there and go, what's this? What kind of performance is this? This is Tom Lang's fault. And that's just so you're ready. I want you to be ready to handle that.
Well, you know what? It's the Catholic roots. I mean, look, I'm even wearing kind of a Notre Dame color today. I must be just, it's the Northern thing. I'm secretly pulling for Notre Dame. Maybe it's just that Florida State went undefeated in the ACC again in my world. And they said, win or lose. And there's a lesson to be learned. The cinematic recap on Monday is Mike saying, guys, I understand. We have now been undefeated 2 years in a row in this conference. We are going to Charlotte, but we need to be better in these situations. And
we can't overlook people like this.
Mark my words, for this next weekend's game, of course we will. And the Florida game, we will be better. Mark my words. And that'll be the cinematic video, and everybody will be fired up about that.
Good job from Noel Dad. He wants to know more days until Tom gets his Noel card back, or Tallahassee area Zaxby's. I was checking this morning, as I do every day on my way into the station, to be sure I have the correct number of Zaxby's in the area for people to access. For example, tonight my son has a basketball game. May have to swing through Zaxby's on the run. You don't have to sacrifice delicious food, delicious tastes for an urgency. You can get great food on the go with Zaxby's. Proud area Golden Chief booster, over 19 years. It's incredible. Not bad for 72 Zaxby's here in Tallahassee. 72 Zaxby's. They're everywhere. Everywhere. Good stuff.
So if it takes me just one day longer than the 72, maybe your Pirates are already off to about an 8-2 start, 10-2 start in the MLB season when I get my card back.
You can dare to dream. I will be on my way down to South Florida at the start of the season, where Pittsburgh, the Pirates, that is, take on the Marlins in a 4-game set to start the year. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. We get it on down there. And that means, as you correctly pointed out off the air when we were talking baseball earlier, that I don't get stuck with that dreadful opening day, then have to sit a day and watch everybody else play and then come back and play. I hate that. It's weird how much I hate it. It's irrational how much I hate it. It feels like it's an affront, like they're making fun of you. Like they think they're antagonizing you to do that. Like, hey, everybody, baseball's back. Here's your team. Oh, didn't that feel good to watch that? You can't watch it tomorrow. Suck it. You're like, what is this? What is this nonsense? But I don't have to worry about it. It's here we go. Boom.
Which
Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Also reminds me, because we discussed this off the air, and we want to do a little get-together when I come back down for baseball season, because we might not have the opening day festivity itself at Corner Pocket, but we want to do a baseball watching afternoon, maybe one of those, random Wednesdays where all the games are at 1 o'clock or 3 o'clock. We want to do one of those when I come back, but I'm going to use the microphone the way that you often do when you're asking for advice on televisions or anything else.
Yeah.
Anybody over at FSU want to let us know off the record, we won't report it, when the first day of padded practice is? T. Lizzie's got to get his flight in order, man. I've got dates set, but I need to know. I need to know when that first day of padded practice is. So just off the record, if you're listening over there, hit your boy up.
You want me to text Mike? You want me to text Mike right now and say, hey, coach, real quick, we're trying to get organized over at Warchant. Tom needs to know.
He needs to know what days he's going to be in the Sky Lounge.
He needs to know. Yes, we need to watch all the padded practices. So get back to me as quickly as you can. In fact, if you're driving down the road listening right now, Coach, as you often do, feel free to text me during the break, and I'll let Tom know off the air when it is that you guys are going to be suiting up for the padded practices, which I am actually very, very excited to cover, watch, and celebrate when it comes around because, again, Florida State's interesting again, year-round. Beautiful. It's Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV.
Tish, and I'm here to tell you about TCC's first semester. In the fall of 1966, about 300 students were expected to enroll at the brand new Tallahassee Junior College. A total of 698 enrolled, exceeding everyone's expectations. The campus was not finished, though, so classes took place in Rickards High School and then Godby High School. Today, TCC has 7 campuses and enrolls around 15,000 students annually.
TCC thanks our community for 58 years of support. We look forward to moving into the future together.
If you've been waiting for the perfect time to buy your new house, you'll be waiting forever. This is Shannon Young with Fairway Independent Mortgage Corporation, and I have been a mortgage lender for over 20 years. And I can tell you that there is no such thing as perfect timing. So take the first step towards your new home and let me show you what that really looks like. Chances are very high that you'll be very surprised at what I can help you do. When rates go low, prices go high, and that home that you've been eyeballing could be gone. If you're wondering how the drop in interest rates is going to affect your payment, give me a call. I'll be more than happy to show you all of the options available to get you into your new home. And for every single loan that we close for a fellow Knoll, I will personally donate $250 per closing to the Battle's End. Let's do this together and let's keep climbing. Call me today at 954-369-6171. That's 954-369-6171. Or you can find me online at loansforknolls.com. That's loansforknolls.com.
Equal housing lender. NMLS number 373031.
There's nothing like relaxing in a hot tub after a long day. But if you don't have one, you're truly missing out. Hot tubs and spas have tremendous health benefits, besides just helping you relax. Like improving your sleep, they help with pain relief. They help to better your cardiovascular health, and so much more. And this season is the perfect season to finally buy what you've been wishing for. Pinch a Penny Pool, Patio, and Spas has the hot tubs you need for the price you want. Come shop our huge 12,000 square foot showroom and save today. There's over 50 hot tubs in stock right now, so you won't have to wait weeks on end for that delivery to finally come to town. If you're ready to relax, we're here to show you how. Pinch a Penny Pool, Patios, and Spas. Come visit our huge showroom at 2473 Greer Road with over 50 hot tubs to choose from. You'll be glad you did.
Sick and tired of achy joints? Dread the idea of surgery? You need to call QC Kinetics today. Hey, everybody, it's Greg Tish. Listen, the state of healthcare is always changing. The old ideas like steroids and surgery are no longer your only options. Regenerative medicine at QC Kinetics is transforming lives with innovative, non-surgical, drug-free treatments to deliver lasting results. Knee pain, back pain, shoulder pain from arthritis or injury? Don't let that pain keep you from living your best life. QC Kinetics advanced state-of-the-art treatments harness and direct your body's natural ability to restore and repair damaged joint tissue. This is a revolutionary approach that can give you long-term relief with no downtime. Make 2024 the year you reclaim your mobility, reclaim your independence, walk and run, play and live without danger and trauma of surgery and without harmful drugs. Call QC Kinetics for a free consultation. Their number, 850-391-4280. That's 850-391-4280. 850-391-4280.
We all want more energy, more strength, more results. Well, welcome to Orange Theory Fitness as you take a step towards feeling more alive today. Backed by science, Orange Theory's heart rate monitored workout is scientifically designed to keep heart rates in a target zone, spiking metabolism and increasing energy. Orange Theory Fitness is a one-of-a-kind group personal training workout resulting in more energy, visible toning, and extra calorie burn for up to 36 hours. Experience a more vibrant life today with Orange Theory Fitness. To find out more, go to orangetheoryfitness.com.
The Jeff Cameron Show is a production of the Warchant.com Multimedia Network. Check out Warchant.com today for the latest news inside Florida State athletics. That's Warchant.com. Jeff.
Some of you asked a question. I was reading an article about sleepers for Omaha. That's right. A little college baseball in there. And proceeding to go through the previews of these teams and got me thinking about Florida State baseball with more to come. We're set here in early February, I should say, to interview Link. So you guys will get to hear me talk to Link Jared. We got that confirmed, right?
Yes. Middle of next week is when we'll talk to Link. And then that will be a little bit more about the offseason. And it'll be followed up with the usual opening day chat, which will come about 10 days later, in which he runs down the lineup, his thoughts on positions. I'll be very fascinated to hear both of these talks because, he's got a philosophy how he likes players to be specialized and they've got a role, and that's what their role is going to be when they arrive on campus, and that's what they graduate up the ranks to be. All of the turnover on the roster, and recapping year one, he'll be more honest in recapping a year now that it's over than he would on the ground. If you lost 2 out of 3 in a given weekend, because you got to try and fight through and fight past. I'll be interested to hear when you talk to him how he reacts and puts a bookmark in that part of his career at Florida State.
By the way, I bought a new bookmark over the weekend. Just thought I'd let you know. I bought a new. It's rare that you do it. It's rare that you do it, but I bought a new one.
What do you favor? Do you like the metallic bookmarks? Do you like felt bookmarks?
Metallic is the way to go, buddy.
Yeah, that's right. It's the only way.
It's the correct answer. And so I bought one over the weekend, a new one. Love it. Pierced Joe Poznansky's newest book, Why We Love Baseball. It's sitting on my coffee table right now. I'm on page 22. Began reading it early this morning over a cup of Joe.
You're going to be able to quote it like Matt Damon in page 47, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
You think the most important thing to happen the last 15 years in Major League Baseball is that they outlaw the shift, right? Page 47, right?
Yeah. No. I will. You have any original thoughts of your own on that? Are you going to plagiarize the whole thing? No, that's fine. So it's, I'm going to read it and I can't wait. It's going to be fun. But the point is baseball's on the mind, but I do want to point out something here, and this will be brief. You are spot on. Last year was a disaster, and it will be interesting to hear what Link has to say about this baseball team, because I think they're going to, offensively, I think they're going to be good. I think with what they've added and what they have coming back, I think they're going to be good offensively. I don't know if they can pitch, and it's asking a lot for some young guys to have to be aces and to do that sort of thing here. So it'll be an interesting conversation. But think about how maddening it was for a guy who really believes that you are a second baseman, you are a third baseman, you are a left fielder, and you come here ready-made in the sense that you do that well. I don't want to have to worry about you. I don't want to have to find a spot for you. This is what you are. So I tell my recruiters, this is what I want. This is what you have to go see. This is all of that. You need to make sure that this is, what you're bringing to me. And he didn't have any of that last year. He had a bunch of hybrid dudes that he's trying to, it had to have been just absolutely maddening, frustrating to no end. And it's what you get. It's tough when you take over a program and if that's not what you want, and then you have to kind of wear it, I can't, and have to bite your lip, bite your tongue. That had to have been tough. So it'll be, I think, a better year for him and an easier one. And I'm looking forward to talking to him next week. Should be a lot of fun. And I look forward to that for the reasons that it's fun to go over there as spring hits and have expectations that you're not going to be terrible. I don't know. I didn't know what that was like. It was terrible. That was hard to take in.
I'm going to tell you, it's going to hit me different this year from being up here. And even if it's a cold day at Hauser on Mike Martin Field, I'm going to be like, oh, that looks glorious. That looks gorgeous.
Yeah, I would imagine so. Very quickly, I would also point to as far as what we get tonight with the Smash and then what you get later this week. I just because I don't talk a ton about recruiting, especially not classes of 2025, I know that things happened over the weekend and that people were in town and that there were players here and that they were viewed. And, if you like talking about guys that are going to be playing football perhaps for Florida State 2 and 3 years from now, you can get that information from our own Michael Langston and Matt Lasser, and they do a great job.
And we'll have that tonight in the final 15, 20 minutes of the Smash, where we did it last week for the junior days. It's basically a wrap, a Q&A of what's going on. You can find Michael's thoughts initially. I was on Wake Up this morning, but tonight for the last 20 minutes, if you want to ask questions, because there's another big junior day weekend.
Yes, there is.
Coming up this weekend. The most important thing I saw was Solomon Thomas and what he looks like as a rising senior, the offensive lineman who is committed to Florida State. Dear God, that is an athlete playing offensive line. It's not a big guy who needs to get, bulked up. It's the other way around. That hopefully we have what it takes to get a yes from him in December.
I just think the hardest thing in the world, and we have talked about this many times over in this era, and I don't know if it'll get fixed, and maybe I'll have to adapt. But in this era, you got to figure out how excited you can get about a player that's going to be here 2 years from now. That's the hardest thing, just because of the era we live in. I believe he's on now. There he is. Irash Fell, Warchant.com, joins us as he's wont to do. How are you, good sir?
I don't know about 2 years from now. I mean, class of 25, Jeff, is those guys. A lot of those guys will be in school a year from now by this point, so they won't be on the field for a year and a half.
Yeah, I'm greedy. I'm greedy, Ira. I just care about the dudes that are going to be on the field.
I hear you, buddy. I hear you.
No. It's important. You know what I do, all jokes aside. And by the way, Michael and Matt do a great job of that. And whenever we delve into it, I want to make sure I direct the spotlight onto those two that are working really hard and giving us the information. And so it's important to note the last 20 minutes there on Smash Tonight. If folks can do that. I do pay attention to how well are we succeeding in getting the attention of these players that are of the elite status. It matters. And you can really gauge like the program's trending in what direction based on who visits, who's here, and who doesn't come here. And it was only a few short years ago where they couldn't get people here, and now they do all the time. And that's really, really reflective of the job that Mike has done and where this program's at.
Yeah, and I mean, this past weekend wasn't even one of the biggest one. I mean, I think the first one and the third one are seen as the bigger ones. This middle one was kind of a little less deep in terms of overall talent. But even in that group, you had two receivers visited from out. They were both among the top 100 players in the country. A defensive lineman come down from Baltimore is one of the top handful of defensive linemen in the country. So yeah, they're getting a different level of player. And then we just, I think we're slotting a story on the website right now. The number 2 receiver in the 2025 class, the guy named Caleb Cunningham, just announced his top schools, and Florida State's one of them. So yeah, you may not get them all, we know that, but you're at least in the running with some of these elite players.
Yeah, and there was also a linebacker here, the Walker kid, right? Was here, and I got very excited by that. People wonder if anything moves me in that realm. Yes, that was great. That's a 5-star kid, buddy.
Anything when you talk about something moving you, I just get a little nervous. That's good news, especially when we're talking about 18 to 20-year-old young men.
Oh, believe me, I frown upon that, and I see that reaction on the recruiting board sometimes a little over the top. I'm just talking about emotionally. I'm just talking about emotionally being charged up, fired up, excited about potential. That's all. It's the proper usage of move me. That's all I'm saying. By the way, I saw and I appreciated the piece you did that the names change. Expectations remain sky high for FSU, Norvell offense. You cited the W's and L's that Tom and I did and at the start of your story there. But when I read the story, not only was it good, I got excited all over again. when you wrote the story and you wrote the names of those that have been added to the list and or those that have returned and the potential of players like Vendravius Jacobs and Hakeem Williams and Destin Hill and the presence of veteran players like Keziah Holmes and Kentron Portier and others, and then you went through position by position. Did you get excited? Because I do when I read it, when I think back on it, I get excited again.
Yeah, it's funny, man. Like when I started writing the piece, what really the impetus of the piece was as I was putting up content over the last 2 or 3 weeks, and anytime I put up a story about the offense in 2024, and I just was trying to decide who to use a picture of, it's impossible because nobody on this offense that's going to play a key role this fall really has been here before.
Right.
In years past, like going into last season, obviously you had so many stars to pick from: Jordan Travis and Trey Benson and Johnny Wilson, and then you get down to the Lawrence Toafili's and some of those guys. Well, now it's Lawrence Toafili, Ja'Kai Douglas, and maybe Kyle Morlock are the only 3 guys that have really done a lot on the college level. Now, so going into it, that was kind of, I guess, concern is just there is so much we don't know about this offense yet. But then to your point, yeah, once you start going through them and you think about how this staff is evaluated in the past, and you look at the potential of these guys, the Jaylen Brown from LSU and Malik Benson from Alabama, and all these guys who there's a reason to be excited about them. And I think the message I was trying to get to is they don't have to hit home runs on all of those guys, but they've got a lot of options, and I'm sure they're going to hit on some of them. And with DJ at quarterback, I feel like this offense should be really good again.
Yeah, and I was talking about this with a buddy of mine the other day. I was saying, look, man, when you get a guy who maybe hasn't played a lot at a previous stop, so it could be anybody, right? Oh, this guy didn't play a lot, or he was a backup, and that's why he transferred. It's just different when you say that is a kid that's coming over from, you just mentioned Jaylen Brown, that's coming over from LSU or coming over from Alabama, Malik Benson, or coming over from, Roydell Williams. Like, at running back, you tell me we got a running back that Nick Saban approved. By the way, Nick Saban checked every box. That's what he did. You were not allowed to recruit a kid until he signed off on, or you could recruit him, but he signed off on the kids that were brought to him. So you're telling me Nick, and listen, I think he's the greatest college coach of all time. If you tell me that Nick Saban saw Roydell Williams and said, yeah, I want him here at Alabama, think of the track record of running backs they've had. That's got to mean, and then you marry that with a Cam Davis, who I'm very excited about as a freshman, and I think will get on the field his freshman season. And then you look at the other players that we're talking about, like a Terrence Ferguson on the offensive line. Well, I mean, again, signed off on by Nick Saban at Alabama. Their offensive lines haven't sucked over the years. There's just reason to get excited, and it makes sense. It's plausible that they're going to be good.
Yeah, it's just what's weird about it. I think when you look at a big picture, is 2 years ago was very much the same situation. You didn't know Johnny Wilson had not done much at Arizona State. Trey Benson had not done much at Oregon. So you couldn't get super excited about them, but you also didn't need them to be superstars because they weren't replacing superstars.
Right.
The team at that point in time was just trying to get to respectable. Well, what's a little different here is you do need some of these guys to become superstars if you're going to become a 10-win team again. So I think Johnny and Trey exceeded expectations, but the expectations weren't all that high. Now the expectations are for all of these guys going to be very high because the standard of Florida State has changed from what it was 2 years ago.
And that's why also I think you may want to, like some of these guys, it may take a quick adjustment period, right? Maybe spring, you don't see what you need to see, and then by fall you're like, there it is. Who knows? We'll see. It's different for everybody. But there's no reason, based on what we saw for a year, what we saw in practice when they were able to practice and when they got opportunities, they seized them. Like there's no way you're not excited. You and me, for example, how could you not be excited about what Hakeem Williams is going to be? Right. I've said it till I'm blue in the face, and I don't want to keep dwelling on it because he's a kid, and maybe it'll all snap into place for him. But there's nobody doubting Vendravius Jacobs' ability. No, I mean, none of us who watch football, all of us watched that kid and got excited. There are more components to this thing, but just from an ability standpoint, how could you not be really excited about the leap you think he'll take? Or Destin Hill, right? And these are all guys. And you have a Portier who comes back. And so you have other guys that can kind of pick up the slack as the other guys adjust.
Yeah, and I'd love to see. I mean, man, it would be gravy, I think, at this point, if Darion Williamson or, like you said, Portier. Portier, I think, was definitely on the cusp of becoming that guy, but then he got hurt. Darion Williamson's a guy who has been in and out of the lineup. What disappointed me a little bit was when he did get some opportunities this past season, he really didn't cash in on them. And I'm encouraged by the fact that they're keeping him here. He's not trying to find a new home, so they must really believe that it's in there. But man, time's running out. So you've got kind of a combination. You have these young, really talented guys that now you just want to see them put it together and be guys that can be counted upon. Again, you go back to that Pitt game when you don't have your top wide receivers. Well, who's going to step up? And so now a lot of those guys have to really step up, and you don't have the luxury of knowing you're going to have those older guys around. But also, it would be a huge bonus if a few of those veterans who just haven't done it yet consistently turn the corner. And that can happen. I mean, we've seen players before be on a roster for 2 or 3 years or even 4 years before it finally really clicks. And that's going to need to happen probably as well.
You are the godfather, the patient one. And so I know you know that sometimes it takes 3 and 4 years, Ira. So maybe we get that. But I do think it is. I don't think it's unreasonable. I think you asked the question, if I remember in the piece. It's not unreasonable to think that Roydell Williams could be really, really good. I don't know if he's Trey Benson good, but we didn't know Trey Benson was going to be any good. He was coming off a horrific injury when he got to Tallahassee. And I don't think it's unreasonable to think that Malik Benson could be very good at wide receiver, right? It doesn't seem unreasonable to me, just given what the clay is that we're molding.
Especially at running back in this system. I mean, if you think back to since the staff has been here, you look at LaDamian Webb, Trayshawn Ward.
Everybody's produced at running back here. Yeah.
There's nobody that's come in and just averaged 3.5 yards a carry for a year and played a lot. So it wouldn't shock me at all if a guy like Roydell comes in and his average goes to 6 yards a carry and he's, putting up 900 or 1,000 yards. I don't think just because he ran for 600 yards last year at Alabama that's the ceiling. A guy like them, legitimately in this offense, he may run for 1,000 or more.
Always appreciate it, brother. I'll talk to you again soon.
Thanks, Jeff. See you, man.
Yep, take care. That's Ira Chappelle, Warchant.com. The Smash later tonight. Jeff Cameron Show 93.3, Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV.
News now.
The Leon County Sheriff's Office is conducting a death investigation after a man and a woman were found dead. Deputies were conducting a welfare check. LCSO says they were found Thursday, January 25th around 5 p.m. The home was in the 1300 block of Gateshead Circle off of Buckhead Road in eastern Leon County. LCSO's violent crimes and crime scene units are investigating. Deputies say the initial investigation found there's no threat to the public. Anyone with information is asked to contact the Violent Crimes Unit at 850-606-3300. After a year of complaints, local and state elected officials said they have asked the USPS Inspector General to look into the ongoing issues with mail in the northeast Leon County. There has been reported issues since January of 2023. Some of those reports included stolen mail checks. The Postal Service has not responded to Congressman Dunn on 3 occasions when he's inquired about what's going on. Now that the Postmaster General is involved, hopefully there will be answers supplied soon. This is Rachel Anay with your Real Talk 93.3 Local News Update, brought to you by Macklemore Systems, Tallahassee's go-to Mac store. Check them out online at MacklemoreSystems.com.
This is meteorologist Paul Trombley with your Real Talk 93.3 weather update. Ample sunshine expected this afternoon with daytime highs approaching 60. Winds out of the northwest, 8 to 15 miles per hour. Tonight, lows level off around 37. Lots of sunshine tomorrow. High temperatures reach up to 63. Seasonal temperatures Wednesday and Thursday with highs in the mid-60s. This report is brought to you by the Lawn Johns. For all your landscaping and lawn care needs, visit thelawnjohns.com. Right now, it's 59 degrees.
Hello, I'm Jimmy Fasig.
And I'm Dana Brooks of Fasig Brooks Law Offices.
When you're in an accident, traffic cameras can be the best source of evidence to prove who's at fault.
That's why Fasig Brooks has partnered with RoadProof to have access to all their traffic camera footage.
With RoadProof, we can search our network of traffic cameras to find the evidence that could help you win your case.
Call us today to see if we can help find the proof to help you come back stronger.
Call us now at 850-777-7777.
So everybody knows, Eddie, that you are a spectacular cook. Of course they know that. If they go into Bumpa's, the food is always good. I mean, everything on the menu.
Mm-hmm.
Everything at Gordo's is delicious. I always, of course, get the bungalow chungla, as I call it.
The pan con lechon, Jeff.
Is that what is the pork?
The pan con lechon, Jeff.
Okay, the bungalow chungla. It's delicious. All of these things, all the items, everything you do. Sir, I would ask you, what is a skill that you possess that you're particularly proud of that nobody would know and that you could share with us here?
Growing hair, Jeff. Growing hair.
You're an asshole. Gordo's, bringing the flavor and flair of Cuban food to Tallahassee since 1996.
The Jeff Cameron Show is a production of the Warchant.com Multimedia Network. Check out Warchant.com today for the latest news inside Florida State athletics. Chant.com now.
Draft, and I'm thinking about Florida State players, Tom. We briefly glossed over this. I just pulled up 4 different mocks to try to get a sense of where Keon Coleman is amongst receivers and, the projections of a Keon Coleman. But more than that, you can see where even if he goes late first is what a lot of people seem to think. Best I've seen him projected is somewhere in 16th, I think is the highest I saw, maybe 14th. Depending on where you think he belongs in that list of receivers, some have him as the 3rd best receiver available. Some have him as the 4th best receiver available. He'll go in the 1st round. Now, from there, you've got the potential of, 9 more draft picks at least for Florida State. And that infusion of Florida State draft picks makes for an exciting draft night when we get together to watch that. But also, I love being able to flip around the league and see Florida State players shine. And moreover, it has a direct impact on recruiting.
It does. Of course it does. And, what you're seeing here with a player like Jarion, which is who we touched on earlier, is a comprehensive pitch that you can make to a young defensive back specifically. I know we want to be able to do this every position, but I'm just sticking here for now. That you can say, sure, young man, I can work with a 4-star or a 5-star like yourself, and I could turn them into a very wealthy person. But I came in here as Patrick Surtain, Coach Surtain, and in 1 year, I saw that young man who struggled some would play better in the slot. I found him a home. I developed him. I got him paid. Now imagine what I can do with you. And he already has the connections, does Coach Surtain, to South Florida. So, you've got now this whole thing. You've got the roots, you've got the trust specifically at Heritage, but in the community of South Florida, that you're going to see a lot of good kids come here visit. And then you're going to see the development track. He says, I can work with a kid that I didn't even recruit and I can make him better. Imagine what I can do with you in 3 years. You're right. It does fortify recruiting. And the other fun part of it is when we get to switch hats from Florida State fan and enthusiast for the program and recruiting to NFL fan is you're going to see a lot of these guys go to, teams that we know pretty well in the NFC where they've got gaps in a position. One specific area that Keon Coleman could put maybe a franchise over the top or put them in a position where he's a strong number 2 and they've got a veteran number 1 and they were on the cusp of a playoff berth or a division title and he pushes them to a different level or where Jared Verse is really going to fit. And sometimes we see guys get drafted and we say that doesn't make any sense at all, like Bjorn Werner when the Colts took him and they were a 3-4.
Didn't make any sense. Yeah.
Made no sense whatsoever. These storylines have been scant. We're like, hey, did he ever get drafted in the 6th round? No, he's a UDFA. Son of a, that's our weekend for most years, the last 5 or 6 years.
So I saw a draft projection this morning, I think it was, for Johnny Wilson to go to the San Francisco 49ers in round 2. I was I was pleased, but there is debate in the NFL community as to whether or not Johnny Wilson is going to be asked to play tight end, to put on weight and play tight end instead of playing wide receiver. if you think about it, he's a fast tight end. He's a slowish wide receiver in the league. He gets by being 6'7", obviously, and matching up is a nightmare. He is kind of a tween guy, like a tweener. He is a big dude who could put on weight. If you got him up to around, I don't know what he weighs right now, but if you got Johnny Wilson up there around 260, he could be, I would think, a guy that carries that and runs well at tight end.
I think it matters about, can he bend when it comes to blocking? Can he be in line? That's a very, very different assignment. I remember when he came here, he remarked, this was early on in his career, where Coach Norvell said, he didn't believe I'm a tight end. He thinks I'm a wide receiver. The one thing is, I hope he gets a shot at wide receiver, because I do believe that his first move off the line of scrimmage is good enough to make it work without the top end speed at the NFL level. And the perimeter blocking is so valuable as well.
The fact that he loves to block, obviously will play very well in the film room for coaches, GMs alike. That's something he's got going for him to go along with that 6'7" frame. He'll be hurt by the fact that he dropped way too many passes when he was here. And that's always something that's going to follow him. People are going to point to the drops. I wonder if it helps him that maybe somebody can see him at two different positions. Perhaps that is something where you're like, okay, well, maybe we want to make him a tight end, but he has receiver skills to an extent. And they look at him as a long-term thing where he's going to be around and be given the opportunity to kind of transform. Or does he have to be this thing and only this thing? I don't know what he wants either.
I think he wants to be a wide. If it's the same as it was when he transferred here, he wants to be a wide receiver, but we'll see. He's also very much a team player. I'm fascinated just to see what these two guys run in their 40s, and I'm sure they're going to do it at the combine. A lot of guys over the years have decided only to do pro day stuff. I think they're going to run at the combine, and Keon could do well to put up a good time to remind people that his first 5-6 games of film is who he is, and not the banked up version of him. Everybody knows when you're injured, they get that, but just it's a nice reminder to show some top end. And I really want to know what the hell Johnny runs. I just want to know how fast he is or he isn't, because I think he's quick for his size. But what does that translate to in terms of a 40 time when you're trying to comp with a lot of the tall receivers that have come out the last 10 years? Where does he fall in terms of straight ahead speed? I'm sure it's going to be probably in the 4.6s, but we'll see. Maybe he's a little quicker.
I'm rooting for him, man. I love that guy. I love the fact that he got better once he got here. He still has the drops. That's going to plague him. It's something we've talked about a lot, but he was a plus player for us. And I really admire anybody that can overcome something. So like he had some injury luck that wasn't good. And then he had those hands that were problematic at times. And I thought, and I'll just tell you, when he had that game, which early in the year where he dropped everything, and I think it was like 3 or 4 drops in one game. I can't remember the game it was, but it was annoying. It was a night game. Remember that, Tom? And was that the Southern Miss game? What game was that?
I forget.
But he dropped everything. It was ridiculous.
You're correct. You're correct. He did.
I was furious, yes. Anyhow, but the point would be, I was scared to death. You don't have a game like that when that is something that plagues you. So, like, if something that plagues you is, as a point guard, you turn the basketball over too much. And then you have a 14 turnover game. And then, like, what are you thinking as you go into the next game, and how does it not affect the way you play, right? I thought Johnny was as good as done. I thought he was going to be a drop machine after that, because he drops a lot of balls to begin with, and then he had that night. And he came back strong and ended up having a stretch of really good football before he got hurt, where he didn't drop anything, and he really was dependable. Made me proud of him, man. I'd like to see people overcome that. That's hard, man. We're talking about the number one thing within an athlete, right? Is confidence or lack thereof. And when you lose your confidence, which he did that night, it is hard to find your way back to even footing.
Well, and that's probably a longer highlight reel than even the big catches he's made. Is you could put before and after within the course of one game. Florida's a good example from 2 seasons ago. You could show, and if it was Southern Miss, I see a couple people in the chat, Hogwatcher being one of them, saying Southern Miss. He had to make a 4th down catch the very next game on the first drive against Boston College, tight along the sideline, be able to turn his body, get his foot down.
It's a great play, yeah.
That's his first opportunity after having to think about it all week. That's a big moment. These little moments, it shows the mental toughness that you're speaking of, and then also the attention to detail. I think it might be a bit of a stretch to say that because you can block like a man on the perimeter, that you can bend to get down there and be on the end of a line as a tight end and be proficient at blocking. Maybe he can, but I mean, that seems like a stretch. I wouldn't draft somebody in the second round hoping that that's the case.
No. And I don't think that the person who projected him to go second round was saying this team would draft him. The 49ers are not drafting a tight end. They've got one of the best ones in football. You don't have to do that. And they had him going as a receiver for sure. He was just noting in the write-up that there were some people who've debated whether or not could he just put on the weight and be a tight end. And, would it hurt him as a receiver, or would he be thought of as a potential star at tight end, or is he solely going to be a receiver? How will NFL teams look at him? I think you're right. Most teams are going to look at him as a wide receiver. And you're correct, by the way, he has said it before. He wants to play wide receiver. There's no doubt. And as long as he doesn't get too much bigger, or he doesn't get, more importantly, any, let's say slower. I don't mean that as a knock. I mean, he's not a burner, but he's not slow. But if he's suddenly running 5 or 4.9, 4.10, I mean, at that point, you're going to have to start thinking about making a move to a different position.
I would have loved to have seen him in the playoff, the Invitational. That's just another guy. He could have gone 6 for 150. He could have gone 2 for 57 with 3 drops. But he would have made an impact on the game one way or the other.
It's funny that my two teams have guys that can take over and dominate games and also drop very critical third down passes right in their hands. Good work out of you, Tom. Good work, director. Be well, everybody. Have a great night. Don't forget about the Smash this evening. Warchant TV. We got that for you as well. We'll be back tomorrow with some of the headlines. Peace.